Hi, it's Leona here, and in this video I will show you how to use KeyStep 37 mk2 to control 3 different synth setups, one by one. We'll start with the software instrument via USB, then move on to a desktop synth over MIDI, and finally control a semi-modular synth using CV and gate. This way you can clearly see how each connection type works on its own. Let's dive in. First, let's look at controlling a software synth inside your DAW. Connect KeyStep 37 mk2 to your computer via USB. Your DAW will automatically detect it as a MIDI controller. Create a new instrument track and load any software synth. Set the track's MIDI input to KeyStep 37 mk2. Now, play a few notes on the keyboard. You will hear the software synth responding to note, velocity, aftertouch, and modulation data. This is the most straightforward setup and works great for composing, sound design, and recording MIDI performances directly into your DAW. Next, let's control a hardware desktop synth using MIDI. Connect the MIDI out of KeyStep 37 mk2 to the MIDI in of your desktop synth. Set both devices to the same MIDI channel. Now, play a few notes on the keyboard. The desktop synth responds just like a plugin, but you're now working with real hardware. You can use the keyboard's modulation strip, aftertouch, and knobs to control parameters on the desktop synth, as long as it responds to MIDI CC messages. This setup is perfect when you want hands-on control of hardware while keeping the same playing feel as your software instruments. Finally, let's move to a semi-modular synth and control it with CV. Connect pitch CV and gate from the KeyStep 37 mk2 to the pitch and gate inputs on the Mother 32. This handles note and trigger information. To shape the sound beyond notes, connect the Mod 1 and Mod 2 CV outputs from the keyboard to modulation inputs on the Mother 32. For example, patch Mod 1 to the filter cutoff CV input and patch Mod 2 to the VCA CV input. Now that Mod 1 and Mod 2 are physically connected, you can decide what actually drives each CV output from the keyboard. On the KeyStep 37 mk2, press Shift plus CV Mod 1 button to access the modulation settings. Using the 4 knobs, you can choose the modulation source and behavior for the Mod 1 output. Set Mod 1 to follow the modulation strip. Now, when you move the strip, you're directly opening and closing the filter cutoff on the Mother 32 in real time. Next, press the CV Mod 2 button. Using the 4 knobs again, assign Mod 2 to an LFO. Once Mod 2 is set to LFO, you can shape that modulation directly from the keyboard. Adjust the LFO rate, change the waveform or shape, and fine-tune the modulation depth. With Mod 2 patched to the Mother 32 VCA CV input, this creates rhythmic or pulsing volume movement without touching the synth itself. You're not limited to LFOs here. For both Mod 1 and Mod 2, you can choose different modulation sources inside the KeyStep. Random generators, envelope-based modulation, or performance controls like aftertouch, velocity, and the modulation strip. This means the keyboard becomes the modulation brain for your semi-modular synth. You're not just triggering notes, you're designing how the sound moves over time, all from one control surface. So that's how to control software instruments, MIDI hardware and semi-modular synths with KeyStep 37 MK2, one setup at a time. By learning each connection method separately, you get a clear understanding of how USB, MIDI and CV workflows differ, and how to build your own hybrid setup step by step. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.